on, guys? Welcome to episode 26 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, live on YouTube or on the audio version on iTunes, which you guys can subscribe to right now, depending when you listen to this, today, mañana, the weekend. I don't know, when you're getting high, if you don't want to listen to politician heads go back and forth for hours, nauseating you to the point of where you need to get a gun out. No, I'm kidding. I'm get scratch that. But welcome to the show, everybody. I am Josh Lopez. Here for another episode. Thank you guys as always for the support. Whether it's here on YouTube or iTunes, you guys are the real deal. You guys are the MVPs. Me and Adam here are just talking heads, having fun shooting the shit. That's all we are. I am a wrestling stenographer, but I am a professional broadcaster. If you want information for my tax returns or whatever. So, anyways,
release them.
Release them, yes. Let me start off with this. I don't know. I think sooner or later we may be doing some updates with the show. Not as far as what the show is concerned, but like a little bit more marketing wise. I'm thinking of starting my own website where I can put everything I do as far as my articles and these shows as on its own website. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But more importantly, if you guys want to follow me and catch everything I'm doing or updates for this particular show, you can follow me at Twitter at WCJoshLopez. So we get that out of the way. If you are listening to this or watching this live or to tape for the very first time, this is a non-politically correct show. So if you get butthurt over the sentiments that come through this program, that's on you. That's not on us. We don't take everything in life that seriously. It's not the end of the world if one wrestling show was good or the other one wasn't. You're not going to see me pop a blood vessel on a wrestling show. It's not going to happen. There's 1,355 dozen other wrestling shows you can watch and see that go down. That's just not going to happen on this show. Make sure to follow my co-host and my good brother, more importantly, at Twitter at AdamDaley13. He's the host of Wrestling With on mindofcarnage.com. You guys check it out every Wednesdays and Thursdays, but Mind of Carnage, more importantly, you guys catch up on the old previous episodes as well of Wrestling With. And this young man is also a co-host with yours truly on the PipeBomb with Mitchell, McCool and Company on the New Age Insiders Network. What's going on, Adam?
Josh, what's up? I'm just gonna sit here and creepily comb my beard while it like overtakes my face. But yeah, listen, guys, make sure you check us out on mindofcarnage.com. The reason why we've been so erratic lately, as far as like picking a day with recording our show, is a couple of things. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff going on, real world stuff, because we've wanted to watch either like football games, debates, whatever, this, that, or the other thing. But number two, Sam's been very busy getting some, we'll just say maybe some extra work, maybe little things here and there. So, so that's why we actually did a late night Saturday show over the weekend. And you're probably going to kind of see maybe even a couple shows a week. So,
yeah, you got and
more variety.
I could talk about this from experience. I think not wrestling with, but I remember at Adams and Sam's old show called Countdown Recount. That's really where the bond between me and Adam started, as far as not only doing these shows, but just as friends and brothers as well. More importantly, yeah, we talk wrestling every week, but there's a lot of times when me and Adam don't talk about wrestling at all. Outside of this. So speaking of that, at the end of the show today, I want to talk a little bit about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees that came out yesterday. I want to talk a little bit about that because I'm a big music guy, and cool to talk a little shop about that, because everybody loves to rag on the WWE Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame plays a lot of politics as well.
And you know what, man?
Research.
It's one of those two where we always talk, be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, with the Hall of Fame being in Cleveland, I've been up there, and I was fortunate to go up with Sam and a couple of our other friends before we went to go see Muse in Cleveland. So we made it a very nice music day. Shout out to Cliff and Tom Williams and Claire Getwell if you're listening. But listen, man, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame really isn't as prestigious as they make it out to be. I think I stood at the Hendrix display probably for 75% of the time I was there. And I'm not one of those where it's like, oh, it's rock and roll, you can't let NWA. No, NWA should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is about music. This is about, like, rock and roll is a mindset. It doesn't have, there is no, there is nothing like that on it. But I don't know. I just think that there's some people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that's kind of like a little too poppy. It's not the rock and roll mindset, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, by the way, as far as music or wrestling is concerned, if you want to interact with us during the show, you can just put it in the comment section here in our live YouTube chat and try to read those on air. Let's start off with this. So obviously over the past couple of weeks, and this could be a great opportunity for, at least for my end, because I've been doing a lot of research on this new news between TNA and Billy Corgan. So if you've been under a rock recently, last week, a little bit after the show was over last week, the news came out that Billy Corgan is actually suing TNA. So we got a new elected president, suing the company he works for now. And we're still in this weird stalemate as far as where TNA is going to go as far as their tape library or just the overall show. Only thing that we know that's a certain thing, and that it is looking good for the company. Well, maybe not looking good for the company, but good for the talent, because at the end of the day, and I agree with this with Jim Ross, without talent, you have no wrestling. So I think the only good thing going on for TNA is this total nonstop deletion show that's going to happen at the end of the year, Apocalypto, at the Hardy compound. So let's get to the lawsuit, okay? I said this before, and I'll say this again. Nobody in this world wants to see other wrestling promotions fail, but you have to call a spade and realize that this is one of the biggest clusterfuck run wrestling organizations in the history of the business. Period. End of story. It's always something new every week. It's one week, oh, they don't have enough money to put the show on pay-per-view. The next week is, oh, they're not paying the talents on time. Now the bookers are suing the companies they're working for. Lawsuits. Jeff Jarrett lost his ownership of the company because he was sleeping around with Kurt Angle's wife. For 14 years, this company has been all over the place, and it sucks, man. We talk about it every week. You have these amazing talents, and everybody wants to say that WWE's at a stalemate because there's no competition out there. But what's supposed to be the competition when the owners of these set companies don't give a crap about the talents? Every time we hear about TNA, it's about, what's going on with Dixie Carter and Billy Corgan. We don't hear about the feuds that are going on. We don't hear about the good shows that are going on. Yeah, you got the Broken Man Hardy stuff that's going on, and that's great. Me and Anna are big fans of the Broken Man stuff. But besides that, what other positive things you hear from TNA? Oh, okay. Damian Sandow's there, but now he's dressed in jeans and he's just there. Okay, Cody Rhodes is there. TNA had his second lowest watch show of all time, and Cody Rhodes had his first match in TNA last week. Guys, I love the talent there. I do, but it's a hindrance to their work being associated with this company. I give the company credit for letting Broken Man Hardy do the creative stuff that he's doing, but it's not moving the needle. It's not. If you have no place to work, okay, you could come up with all these cool concepts for the Broken Man stuff and this total nonstop deletion show, but if there's nothing to build upon that, what's the point? I feel bad for everybody. I do, but it's frustrating because everybody wants to see, what's the next company that could put WWE on its heels? What's the next company that could be WCW like? And there's a lot of resemblance to TNA and WCW. I remember a couple years ago on my old radio show, I said that Impact was like WCW Thunder and Jace. But that's my thing here with TNA. We'll keep you guys updated as far as the coming weeks go by. I know there's still a lot of tape shows that still have been yet to be released, so you guys can watch that on Pop. My main thing is support the talent while you can. I know they don't have a big like merchandise chain going on. I don't even know if they're even still selling merchandise on their website or not.
Pro Wrestling Tees.
Oh, Pro Wrestling Tees. There you go.
Well, no, I'm sure like most of them have. They if they should have, they all should have.
Probably should, yeah.
Pro Wrestling Tees now.
You're right. But support the talent more importantly. We'll see what happens with this clusterfuck between Billy Corgan and Dixie Carter. But and what's your thoughts on that? I know there was a lot I covered right there, but what was your thoughts?
You know what? This is one of those where I feel like it's going to get even more interesting before it's over. And in a way, I just wish that it was just over. I think it's at a point now where you don't want to see a company become a mockery, and they're definitely at that point. And it's not the talent's fault. And that's Josh, you're absolutely right. Like, absolutely support the talent, especially while they're there and wherever they may go. But my hope is that if there is truth that if they default, and everybody can become a free agent, I hope they just anybody that can take that free agency, go and land somewhere, And it sucks because you never want to, I should say it's unfortunate because you never want to see a business go out of, you never want to see anything go out of business. You don't want to see people lose their jobs. You don't, but, and when I say that, I mean the crew, there's production, there's other people that, yes, they'll land jobs elsewhere, but, wrestlers, the in-ring talent won't have as difficult of a time as, of landing a similar job. Whereas somebody in production might have a little, might have a tougher time landing the same kind of gig they had, and they might have loved what they were doing, so you never want to see a company go out. But you don't attach yourself to a dumpster fire without thinking you're going to get burned. It's one of those that if you signed on, and listen, I loved Married with Children, but if you signed on in the last season thinking that you were like, there was going to be staying power, come on. And any true fan of the show knew that last season, okay, this needs to be done, so I think, I don't know. I think they wanted to try and generate buzz, but I don't know. My fear is that there's going to be even more that comes out. And realistically, when it comes to the business side of things, like we always say, Josh, it's really none of our business. But unfortunately, it does get put out there. And when it's that sloppy, and you're in charge of talent that's seen worldwide, and it's such a sloppy business model and has been since the very beginning. And like you said, you can't have an owner that you bring in this all-star free agent basically to steal his wife. Like, you can't play Mr. Steal Your Girl and expect it to have a good business model. Like, I don't know. It's no different than the stories you hear from WWE. So, in a way, I just want the men and women on the roster, I want them to be able to find homes as quick as possible on other rosters. And I just hope that everybody that works behind the scenes, that works, anybody else affiliated with the company, I hope that they can find something to the equivalency of what they're doing now that'll make them happy. So that, because it's just unfortunate that I do think that, listen, she's, from what I understand, and everyone said, she's a wonderful woman. She's a very sweet lady. Just was not a good businesswoman when it came to wrestling. And you can't try and, I don't know. You just can't keep, I guess, declaring bankruptcy over and over again, I guess, right?
Yeah. And here's another thing, going back to all of professional wrestling, and we all know, me and Adam know, that WWE is sports entertainment. They already made it known to everybody over the last 20 years that they're a sports entertainment company. They're not associating themselves with professional wrestling. Whether good, fair, or foul, that's neither here or there. But when you look at professional wrestling, and you don't hear this stuff going on with Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor is owned by a television network.
Sinclair.
Where would Ring of Honor be right now if there wasn't Sinclair? You remember a few years ago, before they signed the deal with Sinclair, they were having issues with their pay-per-views, let alone getting their own standalone pay-per-views. And there was a lot of controversy going on with Ring of Honor when Jim Cornette was working there too. So my thing is, when you have a lot of professional wrestling companies, like mainstream professional wrestling companies, over the last 15, 20 years, it's like, okay, oh, they're worried about what the WWE is doing and trying to see how they can build a brand just on what's wrong with the WWE, and they try to exploit that with their own talents, but they're not focusing on their talents at the end of the day. You see, like, I feel like a lot of times over the past couple decades since WCW and ECW's gone, at least for TNA's, as far as TNA is concerned, it's like, oh, we're going to see what WWE is doing and see if we can do it better. The reason why Vince McMahon is still in business because he doesn't give a shit about anybody else but himself and his brand. It's that simple.
Yeah,
but also, but if this is giving professional wrestling a bad light. Everybody says that Vince bought out the territories. The territories and people that were running for it were the reasons why their companies went out of business. We're back at it here again.
It's a strange, never-ending cycle, but that's the unfortunate thing. Business is business, and at the end of the day, if you can't connect, if you're in the entertainment business and you cannot connect with your core, with the core fan base, the hardcore fan base of the product that you're selling, you just need to fold. That's like if you go from playing 30,000 people arenas, even though I know arenas are smaller than that, guys, just go with the analogy, to like, to 50-person clubs, you have to understand that you're not going to be topping the Billboard charts anymore, because otherwise you wouldn't be playing, and I'm not trying to use that analogy because then it sounds like, well, bingo halls versus this. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that TNA has lost touch with the core wrestling audience. I'll admit that Josh, TNA's biggest problem is when I watch it, I really have no idea what I'm watching. At least with WWE, with Ring of Honor, with New Japan Pro, with every organization has an identity. There's a certain feel to it. There's a vibe that you get from it. So what you get going in. TNA to me has, over the years, and specifically probably from I don't know. I mean, I kind of fell out of TNA around 07-ish, 06, 07, 07-ish, and it just started to feel like forced regurgitation, and that's not good. And like you said, with they, as much as they say they criticize Vince, they tried to emulate him. At the end of the day, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And, when you're trying to emulate your competition, what you're really doing is saying, hey, our competition's better, but we're trying to do what our competition's doing. So I think that, and to if I could phrase that, listen, you're not going to be I'm sorry, this is the first team that came to mind, but you can't be the Chicago Bears and think that you're going to emulate the New England Patriots offense.
Yep. And it's just a bad thing for everybody around. It gives the business a bad look when stuff like this continues to happen. Yes, the independent scene is thriving and it's awesome, and I love everything that's going on with the independents. Everybody talks about PWG, and they're a great company. Support them. Evolve, like Adam mentioned, Progress, AEW here in Chicago. There's a lot of great independent professional wrestling. You know why they're thriving? Because they're focusing on what they're doing. It's that simple.
Here's another funny thing, Josh, is like, the knock always is, okay, oh my God, what will they do if they're not in WWE? And it's like, listen, there's a lot of talent that will make more money on the independent circuit than they would in WWE, and people don't understand that. Now, think about what I said in that standpoint. There's a lot of men and women out there that absolutely are making more money on the independent scene than they would in WWE. That being said, when you're not paying your talent at all in TNA, I would definitely work a bingo hall for $20 a night rather than not get paid at all. You know what I mean? Like, book me in the most independent of independent things. Like, at this point, like, shit, it's still getting paid better than paid zero.
Yeah, let me go work at a Moose Hall and get $30 instead of spending a week in Orlando during the hurricane time and get nothing in return.
And listen, a lot of people will say that the exposure is invaluable and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if this is in an instance. I think that a lot of people went to WWE for the Cruiserweight Classic. I truly believe just to get a little bit more exposure put on them, because they know having WWE on their resume absolutely helps them anywhere else in the world when they want to charge fees, when they want to work at, storylines in any other independent promotion. That being said, I don't know if TNA has that effect anymore. And it's a shame, because there's a lot of really good talent there. It's just the company tarnishes that name.
What made WCW successful is also what made it fall and made it its demise. Look at this. They had the money to get the guys they needed during that era, during WCW, and they had the money to allow WCW to travel around the country like the WWE does. But it was a corporation owned by Turner's Network, and it ended up being a thing where Ted didn't care about the company anymore and had more of his corporate people get involved with the ownership of WCW, and that's where it fell. I mean, everybody can talk about too many NWO guys or Vince Russo or blah 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 blah, but WCW's success was its biggest failure at the end of the day. They were part of a corporation. The corporation didn't give a crap about the WCW after 2000, and they went out of business. I mean, I give Vince credit for the fact that not only he's had to deal with the steroid things, and whether he was, everybody knows that Vince took in steroids. Okay, we get that. But he's been able to have a standalone company on his own. WWE's not owned by USA Network. Yeah, do they have a show on USA Network? But they're not owned by USA Network. Say what you want about Vince McMahon, but he has his own network based off what he does for his own company, not by what a corporation does. And unfortunately, that's where we are now. I love what's going on with Ring of Honor. I do. I'm glad that they're on pay-per-views now. They get to do the Friday thing. I like that they do Ring of Honor pay-per-views on Fridays. But how much more exposure you have for Ring of Honor where you have Comet TV. I don't have Comet TV. New York doesn't have Comet TV. It sucks. I want to see Ring of Honor get more exposure. Yeah, I'm glad that they have a company that's owning their brand or whatever, but they're not getting enough exposure either. So I don't know.
And, another analogy I want to give, just because I want to also be very fair so that people don't think I'm throwing any arrows. I am a diehard little Oakland Raiders guy here. I mean, I'm not, I have it tattooed on my arm. I'll wear this hat probably every day during the football season, win or lose. But our greatest asset was also our greatest demise. And that was Al Davis. I mean, he was absolutely the reason why the Raiders are the Raiders. Whether you love them or hate them, there's no indifference. It's because of Al Davis. But ultimately, when he kept just trying to fight the wrong battles, I guess, all the time. And it was his stubbornness in the end that kind of got him. And that's really Jamarcus Russell was what killed Al Davis. But we needed him to go. I hate to say this, but we needed to move on from Al for the Raiders to finally actually do something and look, finally we're seeing that go into effect. I know that sounds very harsh, guys, but it's a very good analogy in retrospect if you really look at it. TNA for the longest time had a very special, unique identity. It had a very renegade feel. It was different. It had a cult following, and then all of a sudden it just became flooded and overworked, and it became the home of the one-trick ponies and a lot of stuff. And they lost their way. And ultimately, TNA's greatest accomplishment at the beginning by being different was their greatest demise at the end. So
I knew TNA was not going to be the next big thing to compete with WWE when you see this online, like everybody says, oh, if Vince Russo comes back, and writes Raw, wrestling would be great again. Or if you had AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, CM Punk, all these guys that all in one company, they could bring the competition. All those guys left. All those guys left. I get it. Adam, I get it that they spent a lot of money on Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, and that was a bad business move. But they had every single person possible in the wrestling business outside of WWE that could have gave them a run for their money, and it went to shits after it.
Listen, the one thing that we have to understand too is that we need to stop with this one person would make or break a company on any level. Whether it's sans maybe Vince with WWE, but I don't even necessarily believe that either. I think that,
I
that
don't
the
either.
company is structured in such a way now that Vince might actually be holding them back a little bit. That's just my personal opinion, guys. I just think that's just personal opinion. But at the end of the day, one person in this strange 2016 world, I don't care if it's one person added to a creative team or if it's one person added to a roster or it's one person added to this or that. One person will not make or break a company and or a TV show. Let's get that. It's CM Punk. It would never listen. If CM Punk came back to wrestling, it's not like he's going to save wrestling or Vince Russo would save wrestling or like nobody thinks Goldberg's going to save wrestling. It's just an awesome moment, right? I don't know, man. We're in this very strange mindset that one person, just like with any sports team, we think, oh, if we get that one guy, it's not about one person. It's about people don't like this. It's a locker room team atmosphere. They don't want to hear that, but it's absolutely true. It has to be, as many people on the same page as possible.
Mm-hmm. Now let's move on to SmackDown really quick. I know there's a little lull period that's going on because obviously No Mercy was earlier this month, and I think it's a good thing that there's not 2 pay-per-views every single month for the calendar year now. I know it seemed like a lot because they had 2 in September and 2 October here. Obviously, we have Hell in a Cell next Sunday, but I think maybe it's just me, but this is the vibe I'm getting for SmackDown over the last couple weeks. Okay, so No Mercy was on the 9th, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
So Survivor Series is on September 20th. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SmackDowns from that type here, from No Mercy to Survivor Series.
November 20th, right?
Yeah. Two are already out of the way. I felt over the last couple weeks, and I've been waiting for them to do this for a while because obviously they got stuck with, we need to set up for another pay-per-view. We got to set up for another pay-per-view because they had like that 3-week build. This is the reset part where they're focusing on character development. That's the takeaway I've been getting for SmackDown over the last couple weeks. Is it blow away news? Is it, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever? No. But subtle character development things when you have a couple weeks to see they're playing around with a couple things to see what could work. They're tossing some things out there. Has it been the greatest thing ever? No, but I felt like it's been more a focus of character development than we're already setting up for Survivor Series. They haven't even had the guys already in the elimination matches yet. Okay.
Dude,
so,
I think it's
go ahead.
I was gonna say I think part of it's character development, but I think part of it too is that SmackDown's really trying to show that they do listen to the fans. And especially the hardcore fans. The biggest complaint about Raw is, they pander too much to the casual fan. It feels like on SmackDown, they're really trying to satisfy the hardcore fan. And I say that because, like, last night, dude, look at the Nikki Bella Carmella promo. That had IWC written all over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't watch Talking Smack because Baron Corbin was on it, but apparently he was making his normal, I hate to hate IWC, blah, 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 bland bullshit that he normally does. But but we always talk about this, dude. Look at how the one thing I've always felt that, like, and I like both shows equally. I'm not one of these that's trying to play favorites toward either show because I don't know. It just seems ridiculous in a way. But I feel like SmackDown feels a little newer, younger, fresher because it is, like we always talk about, it always feels more in the moment. It feels like it's a living, breathing organism with what's going on. It ties in with social media. It ties in with the internet jokes, the IWC joke. And we say internet jokes, but we got to remember, guys, that's where they're getting their feedback. That's all that is customer feedback. That's customer. So if they know something, like, do you really think they would have kept Chris Jericho going this far with the list if it wasn't like, oh my God, this blew up online. I mean, last night they were egging people on for hashtags, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, so don't you dare start that as a hashtag when it was something about, Jimmy the Chin or something. But
Yeah.
it was, but I mean, I think, I don't know, man. I kind of think that's why I feel like a lot of people are kind of going goo goo gaga over SmackDown because it is playing into the hardcore fan base a little bit more. But Josh, that's what we always talk about. There's differences between the two shows, and that's why I like both shows equally. They're supposed to feel different.
I get into character development vibe, and I'm actually kind of happy that they gave Nikki and Carmella the platform to have a talking segment instead of the 80th consecutive cheap shot brawl in the backstage area, and nothing to do about it. This is the first segment for Carmella that I've actually bought into her since she came up from NXT. And what's an easy internet IWC fodder to point out that the only reason Nikki Bella's successful is because John Cena. Yeah, probably, but I think she carried her own in the segment.
I think this was absolutely her best showing. I mean, I bought in when she turned on Nikki on SmackDown, a couple weeks ago or whenever the hell that happened. That was I thought that was pretty effective for her. But listen, sometimes cheap heat's the best heat. Sometimes easy heat that's when we tend to overthink it a lot, and we think that like, oh, they should have done it this way or that way, or they just shouldn't have just used but I think from like a fan level, like so Sam, and I'm going to say this is all analyst stuff aside. This is from a fan level. I saw the promo first because my wife was taping a show, but I wanted to make sure she saw it when she got home. So we rewatched SmackDown. So I watched it twice, once with my daughter, once with my wife. And Sam was going nuts during this promo, but then was getting equally as mad at Nikki Bella. Basically, I don't want to repeat the vulgarities that were coming out of her mouth because she's much fiercer than I am when it comes to language. But listen, it's sometimes that cheap, simple heat is effective because then on the flip side, they're doing that, Josh, because obviously why? You either love Nikki Bella or you hate her. So when they can make her super bubblegum, it really grates at the IWC. So if you're cheering for Carmella, even if you think like, oh, well, it was cheap, you still hate what's coming out of Nikki Bella's mouth. Or you totally love what's coming out of Nikki Bella. Either way, it's polarizing one way or the other. And that is ultimately what a wrestling storyline should be. We should want to be on either side of the argument, not just be about it.
Yeah, and before that, the only thing we heard about the feud was that Nikki called Carmella Nikki Bella bootleg. Yeah, bootleg Nikki Bella, right?
Yeah, but
that's all we heard about it, right? And now that Carmella said this stuff, now it's an opportunity to see if Nikki can bring something different to the table from her character. Then she's just the female John Cena. So I want to see what happens with that.
I do too, and what I really want to see though is I want to see what happens when Nikki Bella has to talk to John about how she says she wears the pants in the family.
Okay, let me say that real quick. I was talking with this with my dad yesterday. He agreed with me. You have no pants in a relationship when you sign a 75-page document to move in with your boyfriend for after 4 years still doesn't want to marry you, okay? You ain't holding shit.
That's the same thing my wife said. I was laughing about that one. Yeah, that was an interesting line to put in there, but hey, it got a pop, so whatever.
Oh. You always get that once a week on a wrestling show.
I'm sure John. Oh, listen, John's not going to hear. Probably, he's going to hear it about that one, right? Which I would listen if you and your boys and stuff like that. All kidding aside, guys, because to me that was a hysterical line. Just from because obviously in any relationship, the real answer, guys, is nobody wears the pants. It's called compromise. Get over yourselves. But don't even get me started about relationships with this whole Paige and Del Rio stuff.
Please, can we not talk about that this week?
Yeah, we're not. I'm saving that one. Yeah, no, that's getting saved for my own show. But the internet's gonna get. For the first time, I'm actually gonna shoot on the internet for a change. But So, but yeah, it's just funny though that was like the wow moment though.
I don't
Was
know if you ever have these moments, but like whenever I hear Nikki talk, like I can picture what John Cena is saying to himself. Nicole, um, do you remember I paid for that Louis Vuitton bag?
Oh no, it won't even be like that. He's just going, okay, noted. Listen, smart men, they just say
Noted.
noted. You just keep it. It's one of them. You just keep it in the back just in case.
Yeah. And at the same time, I can't really blame John Cena because he got a bad deal out of that divorce he had a couple years ago where his wife took a bunch of shit for him. So I get why he did that document thing.
137% in Scott Steiner math. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, that has nothing to. And I know everyone thinks it's crazy and stuff like that, but we got to remember, guys, we're not celebrities, so
Correct, yeah.
we have. That's a world we know. We pretend to know, but we really know nothing about, right? And especially that amount of money and that amount. It's John Cena is not. I think John Cena, to be quite honest with you, is protecting John Cena's brand more than he's protecting his money. You know what I mean? Because we all have our weird little things, and if for some reason they don't get married and they break up or whatever, who wants to run the risk of her just going on like a random tell all blah 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 blah? And I'm not saying she would, but she can make up stuff and it's a he said she said or vice versa, blah blah blah. We don't know what's on. It could be 75 pages of a mutual agreement.
Like look at the shoot interviews they do for like RF videos or kayfabe commentaries where you have like Kelly or Maria talking about the relationships they've had with former wrestlers and stuff.
Right,
dude, it's a money grab. I wouldn't be surprised if Nikki Bella did that. Now, is that good business? I don't know. I would like to think you would keep your. I think you would keep your relationship stuff private and not do it for money. But hey, man, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not as strange as people. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely. If I said to Sam before we got married, all right, here's a 75-page document, threw it in front of her, she would have looked at me and be like, okay, but your net worth is like I think 13 cents. And I'd be like, right, exactly, yeah. But you ain't getting that 13 cents. It would be a little ridiculous. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if your chances are 99.999% of the people listening to this we're all in the same position that it doesn't make sense to us why somebody would have to sign a 75-page like contract. But we also we'll never see that much money in our lifetimes. We'll never know what that's like. We'll never know it. So it's funny to hear people talk about things they don't know about. Because listen, wrestling is one thing. It's fun. It's but and I understand they put it on Total Bellas for us to talk about, and because it's a hardy har thing. But realistically, guys, we don't understand how easy it is to when you have that, when your net worth is so high, and that's on both sides. Listen, I'm sure they're both protecting each other, guys. It's a crazy celebrity's crazy, man. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it at all.
It is fucked up. Speaking about this, shout out to my buddy Snowman for check out show. Thank you.
Awesome.
By the way, I was gonna say this. You were talking about the trolling factor for SmackDown yesterday. How about that? The Spirit Squad beat Slater and Rhino, and it made sense that Slater was the one that got the roll from behind. I love the stuff with Miz and Spirit Squad. I gotta say it. Shoot your arrows at WC Josh Lopez. I love the stuff with Miz and Spirit Squad.
I love the fact that it's 2016 and the Spirit Squad's on my television, and that's to me. There's something really funny about that.
That's why wrestling in 2016 is fun.
Listen, I texted my buddies last night, and that's one of those things where people were like, "Oh, well," and I'm not saying the Spirit Squad wasn't cheesy. Yeah, it was absolutely cheesy.
Yeah,
but. I texted one of my buddies last night, and I was like, "Yo, you'll never believe who's back on SmackDown on like a weekly basis now." And like my boy just lost it because he hasn't watched wrestling in like a long time. And he was like, "You got to be kidding me!" It's one of those things, man, where you all like certain gimmicks are hard to forget, and I never thought I'd see the Spirit Squad.
I remember when I was like getting my early teenage years, Adam, where Tatanka was on SmackDown every week, and Road Warrior Animal. You remember that?
I loved Tatanka when I was growing up. I don't know why either. I was a big Tatanka fan.
Uh,
I was.
I like Tatanka too, though. By the way, I was watching No Way Out 2006. It was a pay-per-view in Baltimore. Checked out that pay-per-view. That was a very good one. They had Tatanka and Matt Hardy versus Eminem for the. It was a non-title match. They had Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio and Undertaker and Kurt Angle, which was one of my favorite matches of all time. Kurt Angle and Undertaker. So go check that out on the network if you guys never seen No Way Out 2006.
And plus, guys, if you're under the age of 30, you also have to remember that the Tatanka that I'm also talking about was like in the 1980s when I was like a young pup and just starting to watch this stuff, you know? Like keep in mind, guys, remember, I was watching wrestling before there was a WrestleMania. So I know I'm dating myself, but it's one of those where like I used to walk 10 miles to school in the snow. Up and downhill.
You know what's interesting about that? That was also a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. So 10 years later, we're back to this format of the brand split. Randy Orton is still on SmackDown. John Cena is still on SmackDown. Who knows when Undertaker comes back? He may be on SmackDown if they're going to do Taker and Cena at Mania next year.
I was going to say,
who knows?
I think that Undertaker would have to be on SmackDown. It would just.
It's his show.
Yeah, it seemed like him. It always felt like it was his show and Edge's show. It was them two.
I agree. Like if you look back from the Attitude Era days, like Stone Cold and Rock was Raw. Yeah, I get Rock made the phrase SmackDown, but at the same time, no. Okay, let me rephrase that. If you look back to the Attitude Era, it was Stone Cold and Triple H's Raw, and Undertaker was SmackDown.
Right.
Yeah, he defined SmackDown.
Yeah, because you had him, then him and a SmackDown 6 is at the beginning, and then like once you really got down to it though, and certain guys got fizzled out obviously for certain reasons. It really was when
probably.
Yeah, well, passings and different things like that. But
yeah, true. Yeah.
Whenever you look back at like those years, in the 2000s, when you think SmackDown, to me, I think Edge and the Undertaker. That's really what ultimately for me, I feel like they were the cornerstones of that show.
I've been getting kind of a NXT vibe with SmackDown, where the fact that they don't have the same guys almost on every week. Like I didn't see the Usos anywhere on the show this week.
Yeah, they weren't on, were they?
It wasn't like too much of one person on one show. Like you see a lot of different people throughout the weeks. Like 1 week Alexa Bliss won't wrestle. Last night she did, and I thought she had a really good match with Naomi. I thought that was a really cool spotlight for both women. They had a 2-segment match, and I was happy that Alexa won. It was clean. I'm fine with heels cheating to win at the same time, but the fact that that twisted Bliss move is really, really good. So I'm happy for Alexa Bliss, and I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, it was good on both ends, and it was funny because I saw people complaining that Alexa was getting the jobber entrance, and then she wins clean as a heel, and it was like, really? So
yeah,
we're still complaining about stuff, but no, this was good, and I thought Alexa Bliss cut a really good promo after the fact too. Mm-hmm. I really thought that. If there were criticisms of her, it was that maybe she could have like polished up the mic work, which I don't even think it was that. I think it was just probably nerves, like, you know. And that's we forget that like there's a lot of the men and women that are there right now are still young, they're still fresh, they're kind of getting thrown to the water early, which is good.
Yeah, that's
what makes like I don't care if somebody flubs a line. I really couldn't give a I don't understand. We flub lines in everyday life.
If we were on there, we'd be flubbing the whole promo, not just one line.
I mean, like, think about it. How many times are you talking to your buddies, or are you talking to somebody, and you say something, you go, "Oh no, I mean, you know what I'm talking about." Like, and so, but we expect every promo to be so finely written and this and that, but then it's overly scripted. So
hey, self-deprecating humor. Hey man, I listen back to the shows here sometimes, and I know I flub up at times. Hey, man, it's the human element. You're going to fuck up sometimes. I'm not expecting you guys to come after me. Oh, Josh, you're a terrible broadcaster now because you flubbed one line. Go screw yourself. If you're really uptight to go after somebody because they missed one freaking line, you really need to reevaluate things.
The one thing I took from this segment last night, man, was that whoa, and I love Alexa Bliss's whole Freddy Krueger thing. That was awesome.
That was hot.
And
I'll
Sam,
say that was hot.
well, no, and listen, Alexa Bliss has really grown into Sam's like favorite wrestler, I think, like big time, because it's like now she's dipping in the horror movies, so like Sam's like all about this. But you know what? I think for me last night, for Naomi and Alexa both, I think it showed. They finally got a chance to show their real potential. And I know Naomi didn't get a chance to cut a promo, but she's cut some real money promos recently. And Alexa showed last night that she's, I think, finally comfortable with the bright lights on her. And she's really, really coming into her own very, very quickly. I like everything that's happening on the SmackDown side with the women's division, man.
Besides the Harley Quinn outfits, last night was the best of Alexa Bliss in her entire WWE career. I'll admit this. I wasn't that into Blake and Murphy. I was kind of she was the only takeaway from that group. But I feel like that promo she cut after the match on Becky, that was the best of her WWE career so far.
Yeah, I liked it. And I like that she's like I said, it's she's very direct. She's to the point. I liked it. I dug it. I even dug Natalia's promo last night.
That was kind of funny though. I was getting a chuckle out of that.
Even though I wish, talk about not having an identity, I wish they would finally figure something out for her. Although Catwoman, her cat lady, is probably the best thing for her because it's the most believable. But
yeah,
I think that no, man,
I'm pretty sure she'll be in that Raw for SmackDown women's match, right? The elimination match. I'm pretty sure.
I would think so, right?
Yeah.
Well, because it's if there's a women's championship match, that's the biggest key. There's only 7 women on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So if so facto, now that's a big question mark. So let's not,
Hey, the SmackDown 7 women all have an identity to themselves, especially the one that's still on vacation right now, shooting a movie with Nicolas Cage right now. So,
are you sure that Kurt Hawkins didn't steal her gimmick?
I gotta say that was funny though last night.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't debut last week because I didn't want to see you.
Huh? Hey, it's gonna grow on people. This is another one that right now people are complaining, but it's gonna grow on people.
Hey, bro, you know this, and I think you agree too. Anything with trolling that's involved with heels and stuff, I'm all for it. Like when the New Day first started with the whole preacher stuff, and then that's when Big E really started with the trolling stuff. That's when I got into New Day. I did the same things that happened with Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, I do too, and I think that it might take a minute because with a lot of things it takes a couple times around for people to kind of either get in on the humor or everybody wants to be snap cynical, and then they never want to change their position because then that makes me a flip-flopper. No, you're allowed to change it's called changing your mind. You're a human, you're allowed to do that.
I got some stuff on the Dean Ambrose thing that I'll save in a couple minutes, but if you guys are just tuning in, Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast episode 26, I'm alongside my good buddy Adam Daley. If you've never listened to the show or watched it, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, check out all our previous episodes. Or you can listen to audio version and don't have to see our mugs on iTunes. Subscribe there, leave an honest review, rating, and subscribe, and support your boys. Let's start off with this. I want to go back to the beginning. What was your thoughts with this stuff with Bray Wyatt and the caskets and the black sheep guys and all that and stuff in the beginning? Did you get to see that part or no?
Yeah, I saw it. Okay, so it made sense once Kane came out, but all right. I've never really dug the casket match or casket aspect of really anything once they incorporate it, just because it becomes, to me, it's too gimmicky. But I want to see where they go with it. You know what I mean? I want to see what the payoff is before I kind of make any judgment. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those where, and I'm not saying I'm not sitting here saying, do you ask for it when people say, you want the Attitude Era back? No, I didn't like it back then. It's just, to me, it's stupid. It's a stupid match. It's a stupid match.
How about Buried Alive? Are you
It's
into
that's
that?
another one. Like, okay, like we get it. It's obviously to tell a story, right? Like, so we
Yeah.
know that if they're using it, it's to tell some gimmicky story of somebody either getting buried or buried alive or being put in a casket, and they come back different or come back more sadistic or blah blah blah. It's the same dog and pony show we've seen with a casket match or an involvement of a casket every time. Surprise! Someone else is in the casket. Woo!
I want to bring something that you said earlier back to this thing here. You're talking about IWC trolling. I thought the casket was symbolizing the IWC saying that Bray Wyatt was buried.
Oh, good. Oh, that'd be a good call. That'd be a good call. I was
So
just
you're
kind
saying,
of.
so you're seeing the fighting that okay, Bray Wyatt's buried, and now that Luke Harper's in the ring with Randy Orton, Luke Harper's just gonna lose easily. That's what I took away from it, from the the bearing aspect.
I would admit, I was just sitting there like, just like why? I guess I was just like, why? I don't get what they're doing because but I stayed open to it, and just even when he was like, okay, he looked real comfortable in a casket, he looks okay, but obviously it was more for the Kane thing. But I don't know, man. I was just kind of like, I don't know what they're doing. It's and again but they're writing differently and they're writing towards his supernatural side. So whatever they're doing, even though I didn't necessarily get what they did last night, or I mean I get it because it was for the Kane payoff, but I think I see where they're going with it. I just want to see what the payoff is before I pass judgment. Like how everyone else was like, oh, this is the dumbest thing. No, I want to see it play out first. So, I want to see where it goes. But I do like that regardless that they're finally tapping back into Bray Wyatt's like supernatural side.
Yeah, it's the new Taker and Kane,
Hmm?
Harper and Wyatt. It's once that feud's gonna start. Oh man, that's gonna be good. Bray and Harper. I know you've been talking about in the PipeBomb in a couple weeks. That's gonna be gold.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to happen sooner than later. I hope, just for both guys, because I think both guys are going to be better
They
off.
need each other.
What's that?
I said they need each other.
Yeah.
No, not. I'm not saying that necessarily as a tag. I'm just saying as a rivalry.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It would be a nice rivalry that you could stretch out over a month or two. You know what I mean? And then I think it would benefit both guys too.
Mm-hmm. Now, going back to other things, a lot of people say a lot of times, "Oh, why don't we have 6 to 8 month feuds?" I asked another question: why does everybody feel that we need to recycle everything on the program every 2 to 3 months? Let me bring this up at this point. Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles started feuding in September. It's not even the end of October, and everybody's acting like these guys have been fighting each other for 6 months. I get it. There's been a lot of pay-per-views and there's been a lot of programming since SummerSlam. I get it. I get where everybody's come from with that, but you really need to look in the mirror if you want long-term feuds. And okay, I get it. People are now riding the bandwagon of Ambrose sucks. He's this and that. I hang out with my dad. My dad was an Attitude Era guy. He's more casual these days. I get to watch SmackDown with him every Tuesday. So it's time we get to hang out. My dad got me into wrestling when I was a kid. So it's kind of father-son thing with me and my dad. He's a casual fan. The guy was rolling the last couple of weeks with the stuff Ambrose was doing. And I pay attention to that. So I'm not saying, just because my dad's laughing, that means, Ambrose is doing great. I get it. People are jaded to Ambrose. Okay, whatever floats your boat. I hate when wrestling fans start acting like petty high school douchebags over a character just because they're not where you want them to be. Okay? Just because you don't think it's funny or just because they're not over to you doesn't mean they're not over to other people. It goes back to the stuff that was going on with Roman. Just because you don't like Roman doesn't mean Roman doesn't appeal to other people. I'm tired of playing the game of, this because if it doesn't follow what everybody says on the internet, the guy's the absolute shits. Okay, would I wish he had a little bit more edge? Adam, I said this on a couple of weeks ago on the PipeBomb when we had everybody on War Room that it was time for Ambrose to turn into a bad guy. I said that. I want to see Ambrose as a bad guy, but I get the fucking point what they're doing here with Styles and Ambrose. Everybody's getting on the James Ellsworth kick. I said it last week. Ellsworth's not winning the title. I mean, hell, a person at a retirement home can know that James Ellsworth wasn't going to beat AJ Styles or AJ Styles is going to get buried. Going back to what I said earlier on SmackDown, character development. I get it. Ambrose is goofy. That's what he is. He's a babyface, but that appeals to people. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I thought it was funny what they've been doing over the last couple weeks. Okay, maybe is it too much? Maybe. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. That's me. But for me, I'm seeing a little bit more of a more character side from Styles than Dean over the last couple weeks because of stuff that Ambrose is getting in Styles' head. Ever since AJ Styles came to the WWE, besides his feud with Chris Jericho, has been, what can AJ Styles do to outsmart John Cena? What can AJ Styles do to outsmart Dean Ambrose? Styles hasn't been able to do that yet. I want to see how he could actually bring down Dean Ambrose as opposed to, AJ Styles is buried now because, he's taking dirty deeds for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's not being buried. They're telling a story, guys. But listen, I think that I haven't been big on Ambrose it's been more than a couple months. It's been a while, and it's not because of Dean Ambrose either. It's because I felt that whenever they blew up the Shield, I've always said this. I just really didn't think they were giving him much to work with, and I felt like a lot of times he was doing the best he could with what they were giving him, but it just after a while was getting stale, and it just, for me, even somebody that supported him was like, okay, I'm just afraid that they're just not, last night I was more interested in what Dean Ambrose was doing than I was for a long time, and I'll admit I didn't like the match. I'm glad Ambrose was there to get me through it, and JBL, and I know a lot of people don't like JBL, but JBL last night I think proved why he is a great commentator, and I know people don't like it, but during that match he was hysterical. Screw all of you. JBL was awesome. His one-liners during the entire match against Ellsworth were so funny. And listen, it was a great spot for Ellsworth, and the crowd was nice and all that stuff. Hell, even Otunga got a great one-liner in, but I liked what Ambrose was doing last night. And I haven't really been big on Ambrose lately just because I felt like either they were trying too hard or they weren't trying enough. They didn't know. Instead of just letting Dean just kind of go be Dean and let him be that character that, like, when he came in, that character that he was with the Shield when he came in, that kind of unpredictable is kind of what everybody wants. Well, he's kind of starting to blend that into his face character a little bit. So maybe with a little bit of time, but now people, because like you said, Josh, they already have their mind made up a certain way. It's really hard to bring them back over, even because they always expect Josh to be that instant turn. They can't see a gradual, week by week, promo by promo, slow turn of how, Dean Ambrose has talked less and less about the fans. Does he kind of pander to the fans? Maybe once. But before he was bringing props down, he's bringing all this stuff down. He was he's doing more stuff now, it seems like, to entertain Dean Ambrose than it is to entertain the fans. And I think that's where people need to kind of talk about character development. I mean, that's both on AJ Styles, but I think with Dean Ambrose too.
I like the line where it's like, ma'am, your Toyota lights are flashing in the parking lot.
Was it a Corolla or something?
Yeah, Corolla, yeah.
Is it a Corolla?
Yeah. Hey, I'll give credit where credit's due. I thought JBL was really, really good last night during that match.
I love JBL. I loved JBL during that match. I did. But I'm always a mark for him.
Of yourself.
Listen, I think it's just Raiders stick together. That's all it is.
Raiders. I got one last thing on this Ambrose thing. So Styles got into a little confrontation with Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack last night, which I thought was fine. AJ Styles is saying basically that Daniel Bryan has turned into the authority figure that he hated and fought against, which I thought was kind of interesting. Whether that's true or not, I don't believe. Obviously, Bryan's just playing a role. It's not what he's really feeling. So Bryan announced that Styles will take on Ambrose next week on SmackDown, if Ambrose beats Styles, Ambrose will get another title shot. So that's what came out of this. I think this is probably the peak of the James Ellsworth stuff. Hey man, the guy got a t-shirt on WWEshop.com. The guy can't get any higher than that for a jobber. Once you get your t-shirt on WWE Shop, you're like Brooklyn Brawler. You're done.
Yeah, listen, he's left his mark. He's made his mark.
Yeah, I know that it was interesting that this was the first time in a while that Raw and SmackDown were in the same building for 2 consecutive nights. So they were in Denver for both nights, and I really found it funny that they were doing Ellsworth Goldberg style chants.
Yeah, that was good. I like that. I think, Josh, why they really wanted to have back-to-back nights in Denver, Colorado is maybe WWE needs a quick money grab, so they're going to try and get a quick pot tax off of everybody. Like, everyone's getting drug tested today. If you were just in Denver, Colorado for the last 2 days, everyone's getting drug tested today. They're like, pot tax, bitches, give us that $2,500.
Yep. Oh,
legal there.
And some wellness policy testing too, probably. But we'll see on that end.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't get suspended. Anybody out there listening, you cannot get suspended for marijuana on WWE Wellness. So always stop with those rumors. It's just a fine, and it shouldn't even be an illegal substance. So,
hey, remember Marshawn Lynch?
Jesus,
remember Marshawn Lynch on that press conference? I'm here, so I just won't get fined.
I'm here, so I won't get fined. You mean the same Marshawn Lynch everybody criticized for being as, and I'm quoting because I love how people toss these words around, a punk, a thug, a this, a that, but yet he was smart enough to save his entire NFL salary until after he retired. Oh, that Marshawn Lynch that everybody said was a dummy? Oh, what a brilliant, brilliant man. That's why you never judge a book by the cover, ladies and gentlemen.
Correct. Quick question here. And this is something me and Matt have been talking about on the side. So we have the upcoming Raw and SmackDown Survivor Series matches, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, back in the day, the old Survivor Series pay-per-views, you had like 5 matches, and some of them went like an hour long too. Like the Hulk Hogan ones, they're probably super nauseating for you as a kid, probably.
Really bad. Yeah. Real bad.
Let me ask you this.
Real quick, no, Josh, and just because I want everyone to understand why, especially if Hogan was on a team at Survivor Series, it really nauseated me because you got to remember when it was like the Mega Powers, and how like
the Mega Bucks
was so overly nauseating, or like when him and Beefcake would be on the same team, and anybody that all of a sudden was attached to Hogan, it was just it was so bad. Go on.
Hogan versus Zeus.
I'm not even. I don't want to go through that again.
I'm surprised that wasn't a WrestleMania match, to be honest with you. But anyways,
Well, hey, be careful what you wish for. At 33, it might happen. No,
yeah, last Friday will come out and Debo will come out. Oh man! All right.
My bike, punk.
Going back to my thing though. Do you feel like somewhere after Hell in a Cell, you think John Cena comes back in this situation with Styles or Ambrose, or do you think it's going to be Styles and Ambrose for the title at Survivor Series? Because for me, I don't think Miz and Ziggler are going to have a rematch at Survivor Series. I think those guys are going to be lumped together in the Survivor Series Raw versus SmackDown matches. So I don't see you're not going to have a SmackDown Women's title match. You're not going to have a SmackDown Tag Team title match. You're not getting an IC or US title match. So do you think it'll be Styles and Ambrose just straight up at Survivor Series, or do you think John Cena can come back and make it a 3-way again?
You know what? My concern is that if the internet was true, Jericho got pulled from the Hell in a Cell title match because they felt like they were having too many triple threats and fatal four ways, and who knows if that's true or not. But if that's the scenario, I would think they'd want to keep it one-on-one, right? Or just because it would almost be we'd be redoing the same exact match all over again from No Mercy.
Yeah.
I think Cena gets back in the mix somehow. I don't know, man. It's such a long break in between pay-per-views for them that, he really doesn't even have to come back till 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, and Cena could still be in the title match.
That's a good point.
It could be.
I mean, hey, look at John Cena came back against Chris Jericho in Boston in Survivor Series 08, right? He was coming off an injury from the match with Batista, and he won like the world title that night, right?
Why you got to bring up old shit, man? Why you got to do that to me?
I'm sorry, man. Sorry for being a historian and bringing up.
I'm
the
up here,
man.
promoting Jericho Owens in your 2016 election because they have it. And you got to do my boy dirty like that. Thanks, man. Like, scars don't heal or wounds don't heal sometimes. No, see, that's like similar premise. Dude, absolutely similar premise. But you could even have Cena come back in and get involved in this match somehow to distract Ambrose. And what if this is all? I don't know. What if? Who knows what can happen? I feel like Cena isn't done with this storyline. I just don't know. I want to wait and see how it plays out because to me, it seems like Cena versus Styles should be the Survivor Series match, but SmackDown's been going against the grain, So I really don't know. I want to kind of sit back and wait because I don't want to overanalyze and overthink it like everybody's been doing with the Walking Dead finale, which I'm going to briefly talk about at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Walking Dead, the premiere this Sunday, right?
That's what I mean. The premiere, yes.
Yep. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be good. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna watch any football. I got to bring this up before we go to Raw. I had to bring this up because I put it on Twitter earlier this morning. No, I think last night before I went to bed actually. And either way, so we over the past couple of months on the show we've talked about ratings and just television in general. So NFL had his second lowest ratings in history of Monday Night Football on television last week. But hey, NFL's back, so WWE's going to go down to twos now. NFL is king. NFL had its lowest ratings for the second consecutive week, folks. Guys, you could come up with whatever excuse you want, whether it's the protest or the games are uninteresting or not must-see. Dude, nobody's watching this shit live. It's that simple.
Wait. So hold on, wait. What do you mean protest? And I just want to get something out there real quick. Do you mean people protesting because of Kaepernick still, or what?
Yeah, because
of the players?
Some experts on ESPN and stuff have been saying that all the ratings are down because people are still protesting about the Kaepernick doing the kneel down and stuff during the national anthem and stuff.
Oh, okay. Or maybe for years because they condoned and pushed under the carpet sexual and physical abuse towards women.
Correct.
Maybe that's why ratings are down.
Yeah.
Or that's why I don't watch other than my Raiders, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, like TV and cable is obsolete. More people are looking at their phone for fantasy points than they are watching the freaking football game. Like you just said, you would rather watch your Raiders and leave it there and see what happens on your phone on your fantasy team.
Josh, I got to say it again, man. I do not own a television. Our family doesn't own a TV. There's one TV in the house, and it's in my daughter's room. Okay, we don't have a TV. We don't, because we realize it's not. We all need to detach, I think, from television. So we watch everything on a computer because, you can still watch your channels on the TV or whatever. It doesn't count against Nielsen ratings. So no matter what we watch anyway, but even still, we're always watching stuff on recorded. It's always DVR'd. It's never, and I think a lot of people are doing that now. And that's a good thing. Trust me. Detach yourself from television, and life becomes a lot. Detach yourself from these things too. These things. Detach. Delete. Guys, you'd be surprised how wide the world is whenever, But I mean, no, Josh, that's a good point, man. Listen, ratings are down, just period. And we beat this to death. But the only thing ratings are ever up on is The Walking Dead. And that's just because that right now is pop culture's hot commodity. It's the flavor. I don't want to say the flavor of the week, but listen, when that show runs its course, there'll be that one show that's the hot topic. ratings are they're a thing of the past. They're still important, but it's one out of 30 metrics that they have to look at. It's just the only one that's accessible to fans, so we feel like we can shoot on them. Just draw.
Yeah. Not only do NFL have a lot of personality and character trait issues they have to deal with, but it's funny how everybody wants to call out the wrestling business for low ratings, yet nobody wants to talk shit about the NFL.
People think, well, it's funny because people think that the NFL is like we're a crazy society, man. Like people think that what happens at Buffalo Bills tailgates, like that's good and like that's cool. Like we live in a strange world, man. So listen, I love you, Buffalo Bills, and I love the Bills Mafia, but you guys need to chill the hell out in your tailgates, man. It's starting to get ridiculous.
I would rather see Rusev spend 20 minutes talking about his family on Raw than watch the New York Jets versus the Arizona Cardinals. There, I said it.
Well, you know what? Not only that, man. There's just too many games on now. I think it goes back to like, listen, it's not for your hardcore, diehard football fans, though, right? It goes back to how we always talk with wrestling. Is it oversaturation? No, it's overconsumption. So there's a lot of people that think like, oh, I got to watch that football game because I'm a football fan and I have to pretend like it's crack. Like, like everyone's Tyrone Biggums. Oh, I got to watch the NFL tonight. I mean, it's not, we don't have to. You don't have to. I watch the Raiders every weekend. I watch it on a stream. I don't watch it like people, it's what you can watch it on your own time. You can live your own life. Like I hate this thing. I hate that it's even an argument and a topic that like it's almost like you're telling people go be a vegetable in front of your television just so wrestling can get a rating. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's not a good business model either. Hell, if I'm WWE, and obviously, listen, tread lightly with this, and this is just me. This is why I'm not employed by WWE. But, I'd almost push it to the network where eventually, like we always talk about, Raw and SmackDown are on the network too. So you literally can watch any WWE at your leisure, and you can work WWE into your life instead of working your life into WWE, because none of us work for WWE, and that's the way it's supposed to work.
Correct. Yeah. Speaking of hot topics, Goldberg's back. He actually came back on Raw this past Monday night in Denver. Brother, what was your thoughts?
You know what? Here's my initial thought. I'll talk a little bit more in detail after you, but initial thought was, I understand some, listen, we're always going to have that polarizing opinion because people just can't accept things. But for everyone that's saying this is just for the WCW, era people, my 6-year-old daughter is like ecstatic about this. I mean, she was like, whenever she saw, she was like, wait, Goldberg's going to be on? I'm like, yeah, why do you even care? Like, wait, what? And legit, she was like going nuts about it. So, it was late, so I had to show her the next day because, bedtime, blah, blah, blah. Wait till you guys are parents. And then, but she was like hanging off his every word. And she was like, he seems like a really nice guy. She was like, I hate Brock Lesnar and I hate Paul Heyman. I hope Goldberg wins, blah, blah, blah. Everything that it was supposed to do. Right? He comes back. He gets the hero's welcome. I love that they had people back, in the back with him. I love the look on Big E's face, by the way.
Yeah, that was
New Day backstage. Just the look on Big E's face just made it that much better. But I thought everything they needed to do was effective. So everybody out there saying it's just for a certain age demographic, my 6-year-old right now, that's like, she was like hanging off of his every word during his promo. So
yeah. I got a question for everybody, and Adam, you can answer this as well. When you look at entrances, and not just this theme music, when you see a guy come on, I think this is a big thing that a lot of promoters in wrestling, bookers and etc. Look at when you have a particular talent on your roster. What comes to your mind when you see a certain talent come down to the ring? That's a big character trait that not a lot of people talk about enough. Sometimes some people say, and justified so, that the guys come out and seems like robotic. They're doing the same movements. TJ Perkins keeps doing the dab, and it's just god awful every time he. But
it goes with the character, though.
It goes with the character, but yep. When you see Goldberg, what comes to your mind when he comes out?
Well, before I answer this, this is actually something that Sam and I discussed last week on our show on Wrestling With, was that was basically just kind of how the importance of a wrestler's packaging is. And no, I didn't say package, guys, even though we've all heard in movies that Goldberg must have an enormous one. But I like Josh's look on your face with that one. But I think it's one of those where when someone's music starts and all right, I'll cut the bullshit. I think someone's a character's entrance, their theme, the way they enter, their graphics, everything is just as important sometimes as a promo. I feel like that gives them just as much of an identity and a peek into the character and what to expect from them. And I do think it's important to always try to capitalize to the 10th degree as much as you can on really honing in on the character, what you want out of that character, and incorporating an entrance in that. So to answer your question, I think Goldberg's entrance, really now seeing it and really hearing people get back into it, dude, it's one of those where, and I'll bring my daughter back into it. She asked me, she was like, why does he come out to this? She wishes he had different music. She wants him to have like harder, like rock and roll kind of stuff.
What?
And I was like, well, he's supposed to come out because he's supposed to be like a gladiator, like a warrior. That's like, because he's tough.
Yeah.
And she was like, I get that. Okay, that makes sense. But she totally dug how he comes out, the spark, with the in the pyro and stuff like that. And he has that warrior's entrance, right? And so what you're getting out of Goldberg as soon as you see him hit the ramp. Dude, I think that I always use the Roman Reigns reference because I think that if Roman Reigns had Baron Corbin's packaging, Roman Reigns would be the biggest star in the company.
If Roman Reigns had Baron Corbin's music, he would be even.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's interesting you brought that up for Amber's point of view. Like, I remember this is the other day I was hanging out with my dad, and my dad was busting my chops when I was little. I had a lot of action figures, and when I did like my own commentary with the little action figures when I was little and hum out the music when they come down to the ring. And I did that I think he said I did that for Goldberg once.
Yeah, I think we all did, right?
Yeah.
When we were kids playing with these figures, we all did this. Like it's as we get older, we forget the innocence of youth and what we used to do, when we were little kids, and what made us. There were, like, for me as a little kid, if for some reason they didn't show the beginning of Mr. Perfect's entrance, like if it was like, okay, maybe they had to show a vignette, like or a throw. If I didn't get to see him throw the towel over his shoulder and then get up on the top rope and spit the gum out and hit it into the crowd, I was a very upset little child. And it's just sometimes it's little nuances. Again, it's entertainment, guys. This is and this isn't just WWE though. This is UFC. This is boxing. Mike Tyson. This has been this way. Listen, Tyson came out to Tupac whenever he first got out of jail the one time. I think he came out to Tupac's "Toss It Up." I think.
I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather.
Sure. What's that?
Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another guy that's big with his entrance and stuff.
Yep.
Hell, I think John Jones from USC, that's another guy that's like been to the show. No, Conor McGregor. There you go. Mm-hmm. Conor McGregor's another guy that's big with the showman stuff. I agree.
Let's keep it 100. We all secretly wish, as much as, and this is why I think wrestling entrances are important, Josh, and why I think that I like the fact that some of them are a little bit more bland. I like that some are more over the top because, again, it tells so much about the character. Yeah. But that every single one of us that's listening to this, we've all imagined ourselves walking into a room with entrance music playing in the fucking background. You know it. We've all done it. We've all done it in some aspect. So yeah, dude, I think it's a very important part of the character.
When I was in high school and in playing football, and we're working out in like the weight rooms and stuff, the first song I would listen to start work. They allowed us to listen to like our iPods when we were working out in there. So the first song I played every time was "This Fire Burns," and this is the time when Punk had the feud with John Cena. It happened every time I went to the gym. It was "This Fire Burns" with Kill Switch engaged. You have those songs. You just have those songs you start off your day with.
Absolutely.
Hey, hell, wrestling fans have wrestling theme songs as their their phone, their alarm clock or whatever. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I mean listen. In the morning, my early morning alarm, Seth Rollins, because it gets me up and like ready to go like quick. My midday, like my afternoon, like after my daughter gets home, my like afternoon nap alarm is Finn Balor because it eases back into like it. But listen, Josh, here's what's funny is even with it's I think that if anybody else played sports out there or whatever, you might understand this because I'm sure your crew did this, but there was one team everyone has at arch rival. There was one team in high school that we'd always roll up when we'd have to play this team in baseball. We had entrance music and we had outro music basically. So we had exit. And if we beat whenever pulling in, it was always that this is how we do it against this song. I have no idea why. I think it was because it was cheesy. And if we beat this team, we'd leave to fucking 2 Live Crews, put her in the buck. And it like age 17 and 18 years old with parents just looking at us like, what is wrong with these kids? Because that's the era when like systems were all the rage. Like, we're talking 96, 97, 98. Everyone had systems with the speakers and, everyone's car had the thump. Like little degenerates. You know what I mean? Like complete degenerates, dude.
I got a funny story. So this is we used to do scrimmages on the basketball court in my high school. No cleats on. So we had like our little helmets and shoulder pads on, but we'd be on the floor with our socks on. So we'd be in there, and every guy on the team had a song. If they made a tackle or they made a catch, my song was Big Papa by B.I.G.
How many
Keeping it 100.
How many Major League Baseball players have music when specific music whenever they walk up to bat? Little things like that. It's man. It's
kind of cool to reminisce that stuff like kids.
Oh,
that's kind of stuff that Goldberg brings. I mean, you're. I
remember.
Yeah, you remember. Hey, remember the Goldberg sign?
I remember.
Going back to Goldberg though, like, sorry to make everybody feel old again. I was still in elementary school when Goldberg first came to WWE. Okay.
Oh my god.
Let's keep that 100 as well. So
I was still straight edge when Goldberg was a thing, so that also should put things into perspective.
I could have been happier. I said it in the PipeBomb that my disinterest in the feud was not on Goldberg, it was on Brock Lesnar. And even though like I said, I always wish this more focus to be on today's talent, it's cool to see that he's there, and I'm happy. And I know over the past couple of years, he said the only reason he would ever come back is to perform for his son, and I think that's really awesome. And you gotta give that guy respect, whether you liked his in-ring style or promos, whatever. The fact he's doing that for his son, and you got to share that moment with him on Monday night, that was really special. I got goosebumps though when like I saw the sparkles coming out on the stage, and he did like the little kick and punch. I was like, oh, here we go.
And listen, not for nothing, I know, let's face it, this dude can still move because he was in some skinny ass jeans and got that kickoff.
He was in Blue Tista jeans.
Yeah, and he still was able to get that kickoff. So I think he's probably going to be in good shape to wrestle, guys.
Yeah. And I love the line, not only are you next, you're last.
I like that. Listen, I did. There was a lot of moments where I didn't realize how much, even as somebody that like kind of became disinterested in Goldberg, I forgot. This made me remember. I remember why I fell in love with Goldberg in the first place. I remember now. No, but this is where nostalgia's okay, guys. Like, we're so cynical about it going in, and then when it happens, we all mark out about it. We did the same thing for Sting. Hell, I was never a Sting fan. At least I was a Goldberg fan for a while. I was never a Sting fan. But when Sting came into WWE, it was really awesome to see, and I became a Sting fan then. I always appreciated his work. Don't think I like hated him or like anything like that.
I wonder if people had different vibes on Sting because we saw him in TNA before he came to WWE. Like, there was a long layoff period between when Goldberg left WWE and then he came back. Right. So maybe people felt it was more special when Goldberg came back. Like, oh, yeah, Sting left TNA for 6 months and then, oh, he's here after all this time.
And I'm glad that he addressed it too, that he was like, well, I guess you say never, because in the
Yeah,
end, sometimes in the right moment, with the right, I think there comes a time where you really forget how much you have influenced people's lives,
mm,
and not only you always think in the back of your mind, well, you know what, I would do it for my kid, but then you start to realize too, like, you know what, yes, absolutely, I'm doing it for my son first and foremost, but there were a
yeah,
lot of people that for some reason I gravitated towards me, and I was their superhero, so for him to be able to do that once again for a generation of people, and for a younger generation, like I said, like my daughter now will be able to get to see Goldberg wrestle, and
yeah,
that's super cool because I didn't even think she'd care.
yeah.
So dude, I'll admit there was, as a father myself, and so maybe this is where I'm leaning one way towards the other, but I really really enjoyed the entire Goldberg segment. I thought the promo was cool. It felt like they kind of let him go. It felt like he had bullet points, but they kind of just said, "Listen, do your thing." I love the fact that you could see the emotion on his wife's face, on his son's face. I mean, it's the whole thing was a feel good moment, man. And it's one of those where, as wrestling fans, these are the moments. Put all the BS aside, this was one of those just feel good moments again for a lot of people, regardless of your personal feelings about Goldberg.
And we hear this every year. Everybody says, "Oh, the worst part of the wrestling calendar year is the fall," and it's more and more these weeks have been gone by since the brand split that we have even more and more to talk about during the fall. And we haven't even reached November yet, so that's a good thing. And it's gonna be very interesting. Goldberg is already advertised to be on even more Raw shows. Brock Lesnar's going to be in Minneapolis next week. Shout out to PBI guy Ace. Everybody, PBI guys, Lou and Ace out there in Minnesota. Those are good friends to the show as well. So Brock, I'm pretty sure Brock will get a big reception next week. We'll see what happens. But the next time Goldberg's in Raw is in Hartford. Hartford is a loud ass wrestling crowd, so those crowds are gonna be nuts for Goldberg.
So next week does Goldberg or does Lesnar have a match on Raw next week against Goldberg?
Oh my god!
Troll job. They brought the squad back. It doesn't even have to be a match. They could just have the old Jericho thing, right? When just an old Jericho thing when he came out and he was kicking the things and nothing was working, except
Yeah.
it's opposite.
I don't.
Goldberg's here. We didn't let anybody know, and then Goldberg comes out. It's not really a match. It's just Lesnar just stomps him. And
I don't want to like I'm not gonna say like disrespectful things to Dwayne Gill or Gilbert. I liked him. I thought he was funny during the Attitude Era. So this is not a personal knock, but I wouldn't be surprised if he actually lives in Minnesota. So I think they may be able to pull that off. Think about this though. Paul Heyman's talking, right? And like, Goldberg, you're not gonna do anything. You ain't gonna do this. You ain't gonna do that. You hit Goldberg's music. Everybody, oh my god, he's here. And then Gilbert comes out.
It would be
like that.
And why not? And again, they keep dipping back into these little things, but I'm okay with nostalgia when it makes sense. And guys, I'm sorry, it would be funny. It would be so funny, and I know it would be one of those where the fact that the Spirit Squad is still on television makes me think that they would revisit damn near anything at this point. And you know what? But if it makes sense, it's okay. And as long as it's fun, and to me, I think it would be a fun little one-off, man. Like, why not? Why not?
Speaking of fun, I gotta say this though. I gotta give mad props for Rusev and Roman this past Monday night. I was crying laughing when Rusev was showing the family pictures. That was gold.
It was so good.
The little dog reminded me of the one from the Friday movies.
Oh, yeah. It looked like a Spuds McKenzie dog, I think.
Yeah.
I'm really good myself.
Russo was like kind of going with the Borat thing too, though, when he was introducing his grandmother.
I liked it. Yeah. Was his grandmother named Babushka?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
That is what I thought.
That was wonderful, man.
This is I don't know, man. This is where I think Rusev's another one that's so underrated because of he's very witty and he's great on social media.
Yes, he is.
That's half the job, and it's carrying over in the ring when they allow him to. So I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was a really good segment too. I really liked it. I want Rusev to have more mic time though. I've always been about that. Like I wish he would have went to SmackDown because I feel like he could be in the main title picture in SmackDown already.
So it's kind of interesting that we go from Bo Dallas getting arrested for acting like a drunk at an airport, and now he's actually had the mean streak, and now he's just beating Neville clean.
Yeah, he's actually just. I like that his new gimmick is that he's just the airport drunk. He's just like a bar drunk. Like, he's just beating everyone up now.
And then he beat up Axel too after the match.
Yes. Isn't it crazy that, like, you know what? In a way, screw it. I think it's good to see this different side of Bo but I think again we talk about music, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it time we switch his music?
Yes, I'll agree. Yes.
Okay.
You could keep the belief in both things since it's a political thing, but you could change the song, but you don't have to go all the way out like Darren Young's and Bob Backlund's song.
It could be just a tweaked version of that, right? Like that's all they did with Naomi's, and it fits her character so much more now, and it fits Naomi like so much more now. So just a little tweak on it would be all right.
Those CFO $sign people are really good when it comes to revamping songs.
This has been really one of the better eras for entrance themes.
Yes, it was. Yes,
I love that because I'll admit I always have wrestling songs incorporated into my playlist. I'm that guy. I'm the guy that when you call his phone, you hear called a personality. I'm the guy that his ringtone is Kevin Owens' theme song. Unless it's my wife, then it's Coming to America. She's your queen to be. And that's a fact. Right now I think there's a lot of really good
Hold up, the Eddie Murphy Coming to America one?
Yeah, Eddie Murphy Coming to America.
I love that
in the wedding scene.
I love that movie.
She's your queen to be. Yes, that plays when my wife calls me.
That's phenomenal. That's great.
I'm a twisted dude, ladies and gentlemen.
Speaking of interesting stuff, so they had Lita interview both Charlotte and Sasha in separate interviews, and I've been calling for this stuff for the last couple weeks. I like the Michael Cole sit down interviews, and it all brings in character development. So I'm happy they did that on Raw. There's kind of a mixed dangling and things going on here with Mick Foley Facebook posts and stuff. First, he said he announced that Sasha and Charlotte were going to be the main event of Hell in the Cell, and then there was an updated thing where he wasn't sure or not. I think one way or another, Sasha and Charlotte will be the last match of Hell in the Cell. I think they're going to go that route. I think Stephanie's going to be like, hey, I could outdo Shane and have Owens and Rollins start out the pay-per-view, just like Ambrose Styles and Cena did for No Mercy. I really do feel one way or another Sasha and Charlotte will main event Hell in the Cell. Yeah,
whenever it's whatever, I'll just say it. Whenever I just jumped on Twitter and I just seen Twitter was blowing up about, it's not really maybe, just maybe, Mick just said something a little too early. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a story that they still need to tell and it wasn't time yet. Because again, guys, you never want to give the crowd too much too soon. You always want to drag it. As much as we don't like to hear that, we want that slow burn. We want to be drug along. We want the literal carrot or the hypothetical carrot dangled in front of our face, and we want to keep chasing the carrot. You know what I mean? As that's what we want out of our entertainment. So I just think that maybe Mick came out and said something a little earlier than he was supposed to, and now they're just doing quick backtracking and shuffling to try and cover it up. But I still think it's going to main event the show. The only way that it doesn't, Josh, in my opinion, is that if Triple H inserts himself into this match yet again.
Yeah.
But even then, I still think that this women's match should end the show. I'm sorry. I
do too.
I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to stick by it. I really feel when you have lightning in a bottle And they've really been capitalizing on this as of late. When you have lightning in a bottle, grab it, run with it. The stars rarely align. When they do, make it happen. So
I think what else is also giving it away is that over the past couple months where you see like the final segment of the show, it's not on the go home show, it's not necessarily the main event of that pay-per-view. So for example, Jericho, Rollins, and Owens are fighting each other in the main event of Raw next week. So I'm not assuming that, they're going to be the last match of the show. So speaking of that, though, they were great on Monday starting out the show. Jericho, Owens, and Rollins were on fire. Sparkle ass, sparkle crotch. Owens saying that the Y2J chants are irrelevant. And Jericho and Owens are going back and forth with each other now. Well, go ahead. Speak on this, my brother.
My question is this. Is that what, at the end of the day, is the difference between sparkle crotch and tater tots or suffer and succotash or, all these lines that everyone criticized Roman about, right? Yeah. Whenever Rollins came out and was called him sparkle crotch, my instant thought was, and listen, instant reaction doesn't mean shit, but my initial thought was, the super baby face line that everybody complains about, and I always say, be careful what you wish for, guys, and I get it. It's over because it's Seth Rollins, but to me, that was pre-written babyface fodder that everybody criticized Cena for. Everybody criticized, hell, this is what I always said, that I was always a diehard Punk fan, but I couldn't wait for them to turn him heel when he had the championship, because I just really wasn't I still supported him, but I wanted them to take the title off him, turn him heel, because the babyface stuff just wasn't working for me.
I mean, if you look at it like this, the Denver crowd, whenever I hear like goofy stuff like tater tots or whatever, if the crowd is chanting that same thing after that, and they did it during the match between Rollins, they were chanting sparkle crotch for 40 minutes of Raw this past Monday night. So I guess in a way it worked.
Yeah, but fans were also chanting "Feed me more" every time Ryback was in the ring, but he couldn't draw a goddamn dime. So
yeah,
fans just like to chant.
I don't know. I mean, people were chanting for the what was it called, the plant Mitch. They're chanting for Mitch the Plant.
Mitch the Plant. Yeah, Mitch the Plant. Yeah. Think about it. For the longest time, fans were getting so bored, they were cheering for announcers. They were starting chants for the announcers and stuff like that. Just wrestling fans just like to chant. So when you give them something to chant, they're going to keep it going. And it was funny that one night, but again, I didn't really think it was that funny. I don't know, but it's good for the world. Listen, I'm not trying to trash Rollins, please. I'm a Rollins mark, but it's just one of those where I thought it was one of those, to me, it was just very hypocritical for fans to be like, oh, that's the funniest line ever.
I agree.
You know what I mean? When I promise you, if Roman Reigns said that, they'd be like, damn, line was cheesy. That was so. It's where to me it was cheesy regardless, and I think it's the line he was fed. So please, I'm not shooting on Rollins here, but yeah, I just think that this is, again, guys, this is one of those where if Rollins is a babyface now, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, if Roman called Rusev a Bulgarian ape or something, or something like that, it's oh, bring out the pitchforks like the Simpsons movie, bring out them pitchforks, get the fire going.
Yeah, I didn't know what went on with that. That's where he kind of lost me on that one.
So obviously we got Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins for the main event of Raw next week. Either something's going to happen. Either Jericho will find a way to get himself involved in the match, or they'll make it a three-way. I have a feeling Chris Jericho's going to win that triple threat match on Raw next Monday. So we got that out of the way. Let's finish the show, wrap it up, talk a little bit something non-wrestling related. Let's talk a little bit about music. So yesterday they announced the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees for the class of 2017. So last year NWA went in Deep Purple, Chicago, the old school classic rock band Chicago, not the city of Chicago. Also, Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band. That guy's a jackass, by the way, but he got in as well. So this year's nominees goes as follows.
And now these are just the nominees that can be voted upon, correct?
Correct. These
So
are
not
not.
all
These
these are going to get in.
not the official inductees yet.
All right,
Yeah.
correct.
Steppenwolf. I don't know if people remember that band or not.
Batista, if everyone remembers when Batista left with the whole duct tape thing, but we always made it. Well, one of my buddies, I got to give him credit, over in England. Shout out to Simon if he's listening. But Batista looked like he fucked the Steppenwolf. That was the running gag. So that it just there we go.
Oh man, that's funny. Let me upload my list here. All right, here we go. Chaka Khan. Okay, that's one. Janet Jackson. Okay, Janet Jackson. One of my favorites. My grandpa got me big into this band. ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, with Jeff Lynne, who also produced a lot of George Harrison and Tom Petty songs as well. Alternative band Jane's Addiction. Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Pearl Jam is in there. The Zombies, yes. The Cars, MC5, Tupac. Tupac is in this year's class. Joe Tex, a popular jazz player. Joan Baez, and let's see what else. Bad Braids and the Chepe Mode.
Yeah, Kraftwerk is another one. I do know Kraftwerk. They're excellent, but you have to be into like electronica style music.
Yeah, they're good.
Mm. What do you think of the list? Who's getting in?
I do think ELO will go in because, like I was mentioning earlier, with the stuff Jeff Lynne did. So I as a producer as well, so I think ELO will go in. I would hope Tupac goes in because Tupac's one of my favorite rappers of all time. I mean, if you really want to break it down from old school rap for him and Biggie compared to the stuff and crap you listen today, it's night and day. And I think Tupac, I'm not saying it just because the movie's coming out soon too, but I think there's going to be a big push for Tupac, just like it was for NWA when Straight Outta Compton came out last year. So we'll see. I would hope Tupac comes in. We could talk about this a little bit because we were talking about this earlier before the show started about how people get butthurt over like other genres getting into the thing. Let's see. Journey. Yeah, nay.
Journey, listen, I'm a little biased with Journey because like Journey is, you say something bad about Journey in the city of Pittsburgh and they might throw like a Permane Brothers sandwich at you because you can't attend anything in Pittsburgh without Don't Stop Believing. This is a true story. We just it has nothing to do with anything just other than a funny bleeping story. But this was back in maybe like 06 or 07. It was right before I moved down to North Carolina. Me and my buddy, a couple people, we were out at a club. It was like a Friday or Saturday night. The mayor of Pittsburgh at the time was in the hospital, passed away. And they announced this like it's like 1:30 in the morning, and we're in like everyone's drunk, dancing. Like they announced that the mayor had passed away, and then played Journey's "Don't Stop Believing" in tribute. And they're like, "So this one goes to you." And I mean, I forget who it was at the time. I was like, "You've got to be like, this is the most ridiculous city sometimes." But yeah, listen, and Sam hates Journey. Like, she's so over "Don't Stop Believing," and it's so. But I don't know. I don't think they're Hall of Fame yet, man. I'm going
Hall of Good.
I'm going Pearl Jam, Tupac. Okay. Jane's Addiction is going to get in eventually, but I wouldn't put him in yet. ELO gets in, I think. The Cars eventually should get in.
Janet Jackson.
Man, Janet Jackson deserves to be in. She deserves to be in, but I don't know how many people they put in every year.
I think they go around at least 6 or 7.
Chaka Khan, keep on rocking, Chaka Khan. I'm cool with Chaka Khan going in. Yeah, I mean that's.
But sometimes they also do like immemorial honorees as well too. So just because it's not like the lead induction list doesn't mean those other nominees can't make it. Is like in memory of.
Correct. Yeah, it's I don't know. And here's the thing. I think that I know a lot of people kind of criticize the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Me being one of them, because I mean, what's the grounds to even get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like, for me, I think that it should just be a celebration of music. Period. I know it's called rock and roll, but at the same time, it's rock and roll. Like, rock and roll has evolved over time, and the definition of rock and roll has evolved over time. So I think that that rock music, it's not necessarily rock music. Rock and roll is just something completely different. But what's the stipulations of getting in? You know what I mean? Like, do you have to have X number of albums, or do you have to be around X number of years? Is it like, are there rules and regulations? Because I don't know. I would start to think like even like some of the 90s bands, right, should be about, it's almost that time for them to get in, or no? Is there like I guess if Pearl Jam's going in, so we'd have to start seeing like Stone Temple Pilots.
Oasis.
I think they have to stop the civil war between each other before they can get inducted anyway.
Yeah. Like Guns N' Roses too.
Like Fat Axl Rose. Axl Rose looked like a mask of Axl Rose on top of Axl Rose's face.
I was kind of surprised though, and I know that they put other like single stars. Like they put in John Lennon, Ringo, Paul, George at different times. I'm surprised they haven't had like Joe Walsh or Glenn Frey, or at least Don Henley as solo acts in the Hall of Fame. I am biased because the Eagles were my favorite band growing up as a kid, but even then, like, and you know what's also weird about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How like strict and corporate the Hall of Fame show is. Like, I get it, it's on HBO and they're allowed to curse and stuff, but even then, like, the format, just the way the overall presentation of that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony is even like, yee.
Well, that's honestly another reason why I hope Tupac gets in, because I think a lot of attention is focused on Tupac's like gangster rap side, but there's a whole other side of Tupac that people don't listen to. Like, people don't want to listen to Dear Mama, or people don't want to listen to Brenda's Got a Baby, or, you know, people forget those songs.
That's my favorite rap song.
Him talking about like the community and different things like that, and just social awareness. Like, there was more to me. Rock and roll is about raising social awareness in the most dire situations, and that is what Tupac encompassed. Did he go gangsta for the sake of entertainment? Absolutely. But I'm not saying that wasn't a reflection of what was going on in the streets either, you know, especially where he came from. So it's, I don't know. I really would like to see Tupac in next year. I think it would be a nice way to kind of say, listen, that, you know, NWA is already in. They started kicking the door down. And the dude from Kiss, he can kiss my ass, because they belong to be in, you know, they belong in there. And so does Tupac.
NWA didn't perform last year because they didn't want to deal with they were dealing with like some stuff with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, they wouldn't allow them to do like certain songs or whatever.
I think Jerry Halliwell was suing. They're in the middle of a lawsuit too, right?
Yeah. Jerry Heller.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he passed away a couple months ago, actually.
Yes, he did. But yeah, I think that he was in the process of suing them for defamation of character for Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah. Good movie. I'll say
Fantastic
that.
movie.
Good movie. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you had like Kid Rock or Sheryl Crow. Those type of artists in the nominees in the next couple of years. Like, before you know, I'm pretty sure B.I.G. will be in it. Hey, if Tupac's in it, B.I.G. will be nominated.
Well, and that's the age-old thing. And see, and that's why I think in 2016 we shouldn't be, or I don't want to say we, but obviously people shouldn't be critical about like what genres of music are getting in the Hall of Fame. Because listen, Kid Rock's absolutely going to end up in there, whether you love him or hate him or whatever. But
Limp Bizkit too.
Well, no, but wait, Kid Rock went from trailer park rap to rock to
Country.
freedom loving country to like, you know what I mean? So like, you can't really even label what a lot of these, you're just a musician, you're an artist. It's what you do. Like it's, you know, but the rock and roll mindset is like, again, it's about that renegade mindset. It's about kind of raising hell or raising awareness or raising whatever. And I think that a lot of the people that got nominated this year are good for that. Pearl Jam, Tupac, like, you know, like we just said. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Is Pink Floyd in?
I think Floyd's got.
I would hope so.
I'm pretty sure Floyd's in. Like I said, whenever I went up there, I was kind of, I wasn't as impressed with the Hall of Fame as what especially being a big music fan. I legit spent most of my time just kind of like salivating over the Jimi Hendrix thing that they have in there, and just like looking at all the drawings he drew up. And I was in Jimmy Land for a while.
Jimmy Land.
You can't hear Jimmy. I can hear Jimmy. So that's why I was there. That's why I can hear Jimmy. I know a lot of you listen to Jimmy, but
you can remember Jimmy.
I remember. Listen, if people get the "you can hear Jimmy" reference, then they definitely remember, because that's an old reference, my man.
On that note, we're gonna wrap it up right there. Thank you guys for checking out episode 26 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Adam, thanks for coming on again, my brother. Tell everybody where they can find you on the social and where they can check out Wrestling With.
Josh, thanks, brother, for having me on again. Thanks everyone out there for putting up with us for yet another week, yet again. Find me on Twitter at AdamDaley13. Follow us at Wrestling With. Follow Sam at LadyNexus13. MindOfCarnage.com is where you can find Wrestling With if you don't want to find us on Twitter. Like us, blah, 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 all that stupid stuff. But most importantly, find me on this show with Joshy Boy here, and find me on the PipeBomb with McCool and Company on the New Age Insiders Network.
You can follow me on Twitter at WC Josh Lopez. If you guys like to see my play-by-play pieces, go to WrestleZone.com. I'm going to be making some changes in the coming months. I'll keep you guys updated on that as far as what I'm going to do with my writing. And nothing changed as far as this show is concerned. We'll keep doing the show again and again. And again. This show's my favorite part of the week. So if you guys want to see my writing work, I put a lot of work and time into these pieces. So if you guys want to check out, it's literally the ultimate reference sheet for those that want to be like wrestling commentators or historians and stuff. I really organize it and categorize everything that's going on in those shows. So check it out if you want. And also, I am also part of the PipeBomb as well, so you guys can go check that out. Support our good friends, Derico, the Obsolete Mule, Brother Carter at Derico06. Shout out to the crazy Liz Rainey at Lost in Stereo Liz. Mitchell Mules at Twitter at McCool NAI. And thank you guys for checking out the show. If you guys want to listen to the show, audio version, go to Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on iTunes. Subscribe there. Leave a review. Tell a friend about it. That's all we ask. We don't charge you guys to listen to the show. It's free, and it's pretty cool. We don't charge you guys for doing this. Doing the show, and it's fun doing the show each week. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Like this video, subscribe, and get all our past episodes as well. And we'll be back next week, talk about the upcoming Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. So for Adam Daley, I'm Josh Lopez. Thank you guys for checking out the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, episode 26. I'm adding the comments Daniel Bryan made about fans attacking the Bell Twins on Talking Smack into this podcast. So that'll play after this show's over. See y'all next week. Peace.